Hello everyone and welcome to Metagame Mastery, where it's not just about what the card does, but how it impacts the game. War of the Spark preview season is in full gear. Day 2, we've got Fblthp getting his own card, a new Neheb, and even a new Vivien. There's so much to cover, we're going to dive right into it. If you like our content, click that like button and make sure you're subscribed to get access to all our latest content. Without further ado, big time! Go time! Let's go! Gideon's Triumph is 2 CMC, 1 colorless, and white for an instant. Target opponent sacks a creature that attacked or blocked this turn. If you control a Gideon Planeswalker, that player sacrifices 2 of those creatures instead. So here we have yet another Edict effect. This one has a restriction. It's best when played during combat. That said, it's still going to be premium removal and limited. This is a solid card. Teo's Light Shield is 3 CMC, 2 colorless, and a white for a 0/3 illusion. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So typically this will be entering the battlefield as a 1/4. Every once in a while, if you have a really good 2-drop, you could target it with the +1/+1 counter and push through some early damage. But getting a 0/3 for 3 mana still kind of hurts. It really depends on your board state, but I definitely don't see this getting any play outside of limited. The only reason why I would run this in limited is because it's going to be a nice beefy blocker early game to protect my many planeswalkers. Teo the Shield Mage is 3 CMC, 2 colorless, and a white for a legendary planeswalker with a starting loyalty of 5. He has the static ability that you, the player, have hexproof. And he has a -2 ability, create a 0/3 white wall creature token with Defender. So Arcades just made a new friend. This guy's going to be great in Arcades EDH. If the Arcades standard deck ever actually takes off, this guy might even be a part of that as well. He's decent tack against burn, but what I like about him is that he provides you with blockers to defend your other planeswalkers, and giving you hexproof protects you from the many edict effects we've already seen in this set, and there are more to come. So in that regard, this is going to be a very valuable piece in the limited metagame. Teferi's Time Twist is 2 CMC, 1 colorless, and a blue for an instant. Exile target permanent you control. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. If it enters the battlefield as a creature, it enters with a +1/+1 counter on it. So this is so good on so many levels. Not only do you get to fizzle an opponent's removal effect by exiling it and putting it back into play, but all the various uncommon planeswalkers that only have minus abilities, you get to reset their loyalty with this card. That alone is amazing. On top of all that, it also acts as creature pump. You can block with it, prevent damage from going through, and then rather than the creature dying, you can exile it, have it come back stronger than ever. Solid card. Yora's Dambreaker is 6 CMC, 5 colorless, and a blue for a 5/6 Leviathan. When it enters the battlefield, proliferate. So this is the first time we've ever seen an ETB proliferate trigger, which is going to get absolutely nuts in a variety of EDH decks. That said, in limited, this thing's also going to be a beast. A very powerful creature for this format, and the proliferate trigger is going to hit all of your planeswalkers in play. It's going to hit all your +1/+1 counters. It's going to synergize really well with whatever board state you've managed to establish going into this. This is a great card. Here he is, the card we've all been waiting for since 2015, Fblthp the Lost. That's right. You might recognize this character from his Totally Lost fame and the many memes that followed. He is now officially a creature. He's 2 CMC, 1 colorless, and a blue for a 1/1 legendary creature, Homunculus. When he enters the battlefield, draw a card. If he entered from your library or was cast from your library, draw 2 cards instead. When he becomes the target of a spell, shuffle him back into its owner's library. Oh, he's so cool. He is a blue Elvish Visionary, which is just solid in and of itself. He'll see plenty of play in Eternal formats. And he gets you bonus card draw off of a Cascade trigger. I like this guy a lot. He's so much fun. Eternal Taskmaster is 2 CMC, 1 colorless, and a black for a 2/3 zombie that enters the battlefield tapped. Whenever he attacks, you can pay 2 colorless and a black. If you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So I like this card a lot. I like it in Limited, I like it in EDH, and it could see play in Standard. Bear with me. His drawback is not a huge deal, especially if you're on the play in Limited. Being hit, leaving yourself open to be hit by your opponent's 1-drop, not such an issue. And even if you are on the draw and you're potentially going to be hit by your opponent's 2-drop, I'd say it's worth the board presence of getting this oversized creature. Then later in the game, you can use his attack trigger to gain card advantage. This is a solid pickup. I would play this in Limited every time he's in my colors. In Standard, if a zombie deck ever becomes a thing, this could definitely be a big piece of it. And then he'll fit really well in a variety of EDH decks built around zombies. Overall, this is a solid card. Davriel, Rogue Shadow Mage, is 3 CMC, 2 colorless, and a black for a legendary planeswalker with a starting loyalty of 3. He has a static ability. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, if that player has 1 or fewer cards in hand, he does 2 damage to them. He also has a -1 ability. Target player discards a card. So I like this guy a lot. In Limited, if your opponent isn't specifically packing cards to continuously draw cards throughout the game, they're going to run out of cards pretty quickly, and he's going to be able to push through direct damage late game pretty consistently. On top of that, you're getting really good value in the fact that over the course of 3 turns, you can force your opponent to discard 3 cards for 3 mana. That's solid. He's also going to play really well in Nath of the Gilt Leaf EDH decks. Vivien's Grizzly is 3 CMC, 2 colorless, and a green for a 2/3 Bear Spirit. You can pay 3 colorless and a green anytime to look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature or planeswalker card, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. If not, put it on the bottom of your library. So I like this card a lot in Limited specifically. You're getting a 2/3, so you've got your 3 toughness, that's solid, and on top of it, he's a great mana dump for late game. Overall, I'm really high on this card. Vivien's Arcbow is 2 CMC, 1 colorless, and a green for a legendary artifact. At any time, you can pay X, tap it, and discard a card. Look at the top X cards of your library. You may put a creature card with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest of it on the bottom of your library in a random order. So I like this card a lot, especially in Limited, because when you're getting into the late game and you already have plenty of lands in play, you can pitch them to this, sink your mana, and continuously build your board state, especially at instant speed, allowing you to mess with combat math. This is a really solid choice. On top of that, I do like how it interacts with Sylvan Library in Commander. This is a cool card. Vivien, Champion of the Wilds, is 3 CMC, 2 colorless, and a green for a legendary planeswalker with a starting loyalty of 4. She has a static ability. You may cast creature spells as though they had flash. She has a +1 ability. Until your next turn, up to 1 target creature gains vigilance and reach. And she has a -2 ability. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, exile 1 face down, put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. For as long as it remains exiled, you may look at the card and cast it if it's a creature. So this card's great. Not only do you get the ability to flash into play creatures as long as she's on the battlefield, which that in and of itself really messes with combat math and is a huge potential advantage. But depending on your board state, her granting vigilance and reach can be a great protection for herself and other planeswalkers you have. And then lastly, her ability to generate card advantage with her -2 ability, and the fact that you can cast those spells even after she leaves play. Although, while she is in play, you can cast them at instant speed. Keep that in mind. This card is sick. Giant Growth is back in Limited. This thing is gonna be sick. The original awesome value combat trick. 1 green mana for an instant. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. Watch out when you're playing against a green deck. Jiang Yangu Wildcrafter is 3 CMC, 2 colorless and a green for a legendary planeswalker with a starting loyalty of 3. He has a static ability. Each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has tap, add mana of any color. And a -1 ability. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. So this guy's great on a variety of levels. First, he turns all of your creatures with +1/+1 counters into birds, and then he can distribute +1/+1 counters. Overall, there's so much potential here for you to ramp out big creatures and for you to take your creatures on the board and make them even bigger. Not to mention how well it plays with Proliferate. This guy is awesome. This is it. Get hyped. Mao Loyal Companion gets his own legendary creature card. That's right. For 4 CMC, 3 colorless and a green, you get a 3/3 legendary hound with both trample and vigilance, and if 1 or more +1/+1 counters would be put on him, you get to put that many +1. This guy's sweet. Not only are you getting a 3/3 for 4 with 2 built-in keywords, but he has his own personal hardened scales. This guy is great. He plays really well with all the Proliferate triggers, all the +1/+1 counter synergies. He even plays great with the Planeswalker that we just looked at. He is so cool. I'm stoked for this card. Neheb Dreadhorde Champion is 4 CMC, 2 colorless, red for a 5/4 legendary zombie Minotaur warrior. Because let's just throw all the card types on there. Why not? He also has trample. And whenever he deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, you may discard any number of cards. If you do, draw that many cards and add that much red mana. Until end of turn, you don't lose mana as steps and phases end. So this is kind of a riff on the last Neheb we saw. The downside being that it requires you to have cards in hand in order to take advantage of his ability. The upside being that you get to cycle through your hand and just continuously draw more and more and more cards while populating your graveyard. This has potential to get nuts real fast, but it also has potential in the wrong deck to just fizzle out and not do nearly enough. Finally, we have Dreadhorde Arcanist. He's 2 CMC, 1 colorless and a red for a 1/3 zombie wizard with trample. Wait, he has 1 power and trample? Bear with me, because whenever he attacks, you may cast target instant or sorcery card with converted mana cost less than or equal to his power from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that card would be put into your graveyard this turn, exile it instead. Holy crap! This guy's going to be in a limited environment with Giant Growth. Think about it. You Giant Growth him first, attack with him, and then being able to Giant Growth with him either on the next turn or immediately thereafter. He's going to get nuts fast, and he's going to be in a standard environment with shock. In other environments, he'll be able to cast lightning bolts. He'll be able to do all kinds of amazing card interactions. I dub the Slapcaster Mage because you are an instant staple. Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this content, click that subscribe button so you get access to all our latest videos. This has been Metagame Mastery. Peace!